like to double back here real quick. So when were you actually adopted?
I was never adopted.
You were never adopted. It was with your foster parents, right?
So what happened is, or was, so when we first put in foster care, they sent us to the only home that would handle 3 boys.
Okay.
And my memories fade, but I was about 6 years old. The family that they first put us with was very abusive. I remember I had to sleep in like a crib in a hallway, looking down like at the living room. But they were very abusive. They were beating us all the time. And one weekend, because during church, that was the one thing, they did go to church a lot. We go to church, and there was a woman there who would take us once in a while, and she would just watch us for a few hours. She started seeing the bruises on us and was questioning it, so she contacted social service, and they got us out of the home. We went to another family, and they lived closer to this area. I don't really remember the city. I was in second grade, first grade, second grade. And it was fine there for a while. That's when I started honing in onto live in technology for some reason. They had a Commodore 64, if anybody knows what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's a little computer. And I absolutely fell in love with, like, Frogger, and they had an Atari, so you could play Pac-Man. I don't know exactly what happened in that home, but she had to get rid of us, and my older brother was beating himself, so he was sent to a boys' home for a little while because of what he was doing to himself. My younger brother was sent to a different family, and then I was sent to my final foster home. A shout out to Donna Kasuba, rest in peace, please. I love this woman. She brought me in. I was alone. The room that I had was shared with another foster child, and she walked in and she said, "Hi, this is who I am. You can call me Mom. You can call me Donna. You can call me whatever you want. You're just like family here." Her husband worked for Ford Motor Company on the assembly lines, and she had an adopted daughter there, her own daughter, and then her own son. And it was this tiny little house in Romulus, and I finally felt for once during this whole crusade, starting to feel like I belonged. She worked very hard to get all of us back together. She started with my older brother, who was actually living with my aunt at the time, got him to live with her. So you have this tiny little house that has like 2.5 rooms, one little bathroom, and she's bringing everybody together. She gets my younger brother, and he's about 5 years old. And on the way to City Hall in Wayne County, so that's downtown Detroit, as we were going to go get our adoption papers signed, she was going to adopt all 3 of us, my mother came back into play.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Right? And so when you're that young and you haven't seen your mother, and here's the thing. My mom, in my vision, was the mother from the Brady Bunch. Right? So you watch TV shows and you kind of put yourself in there and turn it into your life. That's what I did, at least. And so my mother comes back, pulls us out of foster care, and we live with her. And then around the age of 15, I go back to the foster family that I lived with, Donna. And I stay with her till roughly around the age of 17. And then because of the rebellious nature of teenagers, I had to take off and do my own thing.
Right.
So, yeah, that's
and for her to want to bring everyone together, that's amazing. That the sacrifice, right? I mean I mean, just from the sound of it, she didn't have much.
No, she was a stay-at-home mom. He worked for Ford Motor Company, like I said, on the assembly line.
Right.
She already had her own older daughter. She had an adopted daughter already, and she had her younger child who had a physical disability.
Wow.
And then she has the other foster son that she had already left. He moved out, and she just spent all her attention on getting us 3 boys together, and she finally did, and we were loving it. we were loving it, and then, my parents came back, or I guess my mom came back, and, it wasn't all dark and leery, but at the same time, it was like, where would we be today had we just been adopted? Or where would we you always have these questions in your head, so I don't know where we would have gone, but I still talk to the family today. I guess you say foster sister.
Yeah.
I saw my foster father recently, and it was great seeing him. He saw my daughters for the first time, and he treated them like right then, had never met them before, as if they were his own grandkids. So it was very refreshing and rewarding.
Yeah. We obviously our story, and we try to get these stories out, and I have a lot of foster care experience. I've done about 5 years. Had over those 5 years about 14 kids come through, adopted 2 of them, and actually just about to get my foster care license back, which I'm super excited about.
Awesome.
And yeah, the one that hurts is you hear that all the time, where you've got a family who wants to do all that and ready to adopt, and something happens last second, or whatever the case may be. I mean, there's so many different scenarios, but it's at least for me, it was always just giving those kids a family setting, giving them love, and we've talked about it a ton. They just want to feel wanted.
Exactly.
That's it. And it seems it's hard. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's super easy, but I mean, just showing love and everything, and it's the greatest feeling. My favorite thing is always seeing the kids smile.
Yeah.
No matter what, doesn't matter, and you're kind of doing your job. We're trying to, at least. So.
Right. No, I actually I admire any person who does what you do. I haven't really thought about it too much myself, had just come back to the States in the past 2 years. Being in the Army, I actually never really dug that deep into it because of how often we move around. Right. And I don't know if it would change from state to state. I know that they do adopt. I have fellow colleagues that I know for sure have adopted young children. Mm-hmm. The process is a little bit difficult because of how fast they rotate.
Right.
And the process to adopt is lengthy and costly. But I do know of one recently who just adopted a young, she was 1 year old, like an infant, and loves her to death. And a lot of times it's because these young men and women, they can't have children themselves, and so they're trying their hardest to create a family and do great things with them. So
yeah, exactly, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
it really is.